Let's hear it for Kai. That was amazing. Mr. Laserman. As I was watching it last night, I was like, it's kind of a miss. I should have figured out how to get in on the laser thing and then done an unveil, but here we are with a lightning suit instead, so hopefully this suffices. But yeah, great, 15 years. 15 years we've been doing this, and certainly the highlight every year is Domopalooza. I think we've got about 1,500 folks here from a bunch of different countries, a bunch of different cities around the globe. I think, let's see, do we have anybody from Japan here? Nihonjin imasu ka? There he is, there's a few of them. We've got folks in from Mexico, Brazil. I think we have a pretty good Indian contingent. India? And it's so fun to see how global the customer base is becoming. And many global customers that have people in every country. So users, if you saw the user map, it's kind of shocking, but certainly it's fun to get everyone together, to feel the energy, and to figure out, innovate what we're gonna do next, collectively, right? And certainly there's gonna be a lot of conversations about AI and about big data, but we've got so many customers from so many great places. You're gonna hear a lot of great case studies. I got a couple examples. We're gonna hear about Lenovo using automation in Domo, leveraging tools like Code Engine, DD Bricks, Workflows, and App Studio to streamline governance processes, save time, and empower self-service performance management. We've got Marriott, who's built a global data sharing practice. It's really cool. It embeds analytics and data products to empower all of their franchise owners and operators worldwide with actionable insights that drive growth and efficiency. We're gonna hear from O'Reilly. Auto parts data leaders developed a customer governance app to improve cost visibility, optimize Domo credits, and streamline workflows for more efficient operations. And then AI. NBA, really cool use case. They're using our AI-powered tools to dynamically estimate game viewership and then optimize the streaming assignments based on that artificial intelligence data. Predictions with human oversight for smarter decision-making. TaylorMade Golf, revolutionizing their sales process by using our App Studio and AI to provide their sales team with easy-to-use analytics and smart coaching for better customer service. Sol de Janeiro, I guess they're all over the place, and Sephora, another big customer of ours that's here. Sol de Janeiro is using AI to efficiently analyze customer feedback, enabling them to make data-driven decisions that enhance product development and customer engagement at scale. So, a lot of great use cases. You're gonna see so many different interesting, like I said, use cases about AI. And that's probably what I'm excited about the most is, you sit back and you think about, okay, AI. I don't know how many people have been in meetings here about AI recently. But, when the revolution started, I think I've been in dozens and dozens of meetings, if not hundreds of meetings, about how is AI gonna change our world? What, if you play it out, what's gonna happen? And I remember one of the first things that I did with ChatGPT is, I heard about all the different possibilities. Asking questions is great. Everybody in here uses AI, whether you know it or not, right? Anytime you type anything into Google or Safari, you're getting AI answers now, and they're generally a lot better than the traditional search results. But I had an experience. I had a friend, and he was trying to get a second mortgage on his house, and it was from another friend, and it was timely. We needed it done right away. And he's like, I need to get some kind of document. I want to try to close tonight because the borrower is ready right now. And he can wire tomorrow, but then he's going on a trip. And I was like, I might be able to help you. Let me see. And I go to ChatGPT, And I've seen plenty of legal documents in my life, and I just typed in, here's the junior subordinated note, and here's some of the details, and it needs to comply with these state laws, and make it a legal doc. I looked at this thing, I was blown away. I was like, okay, is there still a need for lawyers? My lawyer would suggest yes, there is. But that said, I could not believe what was happening, at 1:30 in the morning as I was working on this thing. And I get done with it, and I'm like, I need to sound a little more professional. Give me a couple suggestions, accept. And then I was like, I don't know what to do next. Do I copy paste? Like, how do I get this in a legal doc? And so I go in and I tried to copy and paste, and it wasn't really working, and I was trying to, do I reformat? And then I was like, wait, I go back to ChatGPT, can you send this to me in a Word document? And then, yeah, sure, no problem, here it is. Oh, genius. And then I said, well, one of the things I was like, I wish I was still planning on sending it to a lawyer in the morning. And I'm like, can you make it sound, some of the things that I specified sounded like me writing it, not a lawyer writing it. Can you make it sound even more professional? And, there's these categories of language you can pick, and it's like professional PhD dissertation level. I'm like, yeah, that. And then I read it, I'm like, wow, this is perfect. And then so I get done with the Word doc, I'm like, you don't want to send a Word doc because, the other person might change something. I want to send it in a PDF. Can you send it to me in a PDF? That's literally what I said, can you send it to me in a PDF? A little bit of trepidation. ChatGPT responds, why don't you see if the Word document works first, and if that looks good, we'll send it to you in a PDF. Literally, that's what it said to me. And I'm like, what? It told me what to do. And I was like, oh, okay, let me go look at it. I go and look at the Word doc. I'm like, yeah, it looks great. So I go back, looks great. Okay, here's the PDF. What just happened? So, experiences like that are like, wow, this is getting different. Things are happening. And then we start seeing it in our products. You go and you make a dashboard, and for those of you who haven't tried chat inside Domo, it's mind-blowing. Show me sales from last quarter and who the top performing rep was from a conversion basis. And then it just goes and thinks and comes back with all the information you want. What? How did it do that? So all this stuff's kind of going on in the background of my brain, right? And I won't lie. There's definitely been a few times where, I'm sitting on a plane, looking out the window, feeling like life as we know it is about to end. Is there a need for humans anymore? You start carrying it out. You're like, okay, how's this gonna transpire? Because we can get AI to code for us, okay, so we're not gonna need as many engineers as we used to. And so we're gonna have these agents that code. Customer service definitely can have a lot of customer service agents, right? Was that a shout out for my kid? My son, Mossimo, I think just yelled at me. What's up, Moss? Yeah, I got my parents here. My parents actually is kind of funny. Big supporters of mine, of course. And for some reason this year, they're like, we don't need to come to Domapalooza. We're going to be in Hawaii. I'm like, really? I'm your firstborn. What happened? I'm still your little boy, Mom. I don't care if I'm 51. What's up? And I think I guilted them into coming. So they got off of Red Eye this morning and landed at 8:30, and here they are. I saw them walking in backstage as the laser show was starting. So got a bunch of my kids here, this whole front row. Got a big supporting family, so it's great to see you guys. But anyway, back to these kind of somewhat depressing moments, if you will, for me at least. Maybe I am finally starting to get old. I don't want things to change. But you sit there and you're like, okay, so we're not going to need as many engineers. Well, we're still going to need humans to do the data architecture and the strategy. Or could eventually we get a CIO agent and it looks at our strategy. strategy and develops our data architecture? What if you want to go through data transformation? Can you get a data transformation agent eventually? Yeah, probably. Seems like you will be able to. Well, another thing that you think about, like you have all these different sales engineers in your company, if you're a company like ours, and you're doing all the selling. If you could package up all of your best sales engineers and turn it into a sales engineering agent, a salesperson that's an AI bot that looks like a human and talks like a human and delivers the best sales pitch you've ever heard, shouldn't we all do that? Yeah, we should. So, are you gonna need sales people anymore? Yeah, I'm sure we are, but we're not gonna need as many, right? And then what about an agent to manage those salespeople? Probably get that too. Well then, when we're buying software, should we have somebody in HR buying HR software, or can we get someone that's an expert at buying HR software to go and look at all the different vendor presentations and come back and say, here's the recommendation, and just like ChatGPT, here's all this supporting information, and here's the decision that we recommend. Well, if you do that, and you get this recommendation, you're probably gonna need to have some kind of audit function. Can you get an auditing agent? Well, I don't see why not. Can you get somebody to look at all the financials and right when the quarter's done, output what your earnings call transcript should be? Probably. And can definitely get us 98% of the way there. So at the end of all this, how many humans are you still gonna need to run your company? It's crazy. And so as I was thinking through all this, it does get you down this dark hole where you're like, well, yeah, we're definitely gonna have universal basic income at some point, and there's gonna be a couple people that own everything, and the bots are gonna do all the work, and the robots and the humanoids. This is gonna get weird. So how do we get from here to there? And gosh, we better cannibalize ourselves before someone else creates a startup that cannibalizes what we're doing. And then, are we in a spot where we're gonna have, this is gonna be supporting our business? Are we gonna help our customers with this? Or is it something it's gonna cannibalize our business? We better dump and run this thing. And thankfully, as we think about that, we're like, okay, we're actually in a great spot. And we were built for this moment. And so as I was thinking through this, I was like, what are humans still good at? What are the things that we can hold on to? What are the things that Domo can hold on to? And it reminded me of being back in high school. When I was back in high school, all the time I would think about, like I would be in chemistry class. I remember being in chemistry class. Well, I remember when I was a little kid, I'd look at my hand and look at the cells and like, what's going on in here? There's so many interesting things. Like, how's our body, how does it work? Go to chemistry class. Oh, go to biology class. Wow. And I was like, I wish someone would put together like a spec sheet on the human. I've always wanted to see a spec sheet on a human. And, when I got a little older, started the company, my first one, I remember talking to my CTO. And for those of you that know Brett Ayer, my CTO of my last company, Omniture, fortunately, he just passed away a few weeks ago, so rest in peace, Mr. Ayer. But we used to geek out on things like this. But I never really captured his imagination. There's a couple people at Domo I've asked about this. I've never really been able to capture their imagination. And I'm not great at doing this stuff by myself. And sometimes I'd be like, well, maybe I can figure it out. I'll go to Google. And I'd go to Google and type in, how powerful is the brain? The problem with search is unless someone's done that work and printed it, published it, you can't find that answer. You can find the supporting information, you can read a bunch of PDFs, you can read a bunch of studies, and try to add it all up, but kind of, you've lost me at that point, right? Unless it's something that's extremely critical for me to do, my attention span is not gonna last long enough to figure that one out. And then, as I'm thinking through it, getting ready for this presentation, thinking about AI, it made me think, I wonder if I could do this for this presentation and think about AI, machines versus humans. And it was great because I went and I typed it into ChatGPT. ChatGPT, and I got some pretty impressive answers. But I really wanted to see a spec sheet like this, right? I remember buying my first Pentium 75 for $5,000 when I started my first company. And they have these spec sheets. And I remember looking at it and being like, I remember one of the things, I'm like, what's a bus? And why is there a GPU and a CPU? And what is this megahertz refresh rate? And I didn't understand what those things were. But it was so fascinating to see it. And then when you think about a computer, and back then we built computers, right? You're building a lot of functions that a human has. That's kind of cool. So it kind of got me further down this path. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see what ChatGPT can tell me. So I went and I typed this into ChatGPT. How much data can the brain process? And it gave me back these amazing answers, right? It processed everything on the web and delivered to me what I was actually looking for. The brain processes 11 million bits of information every day. 40 to 50 bits per second consciously. Your memory capacity in your brain, 2.5 million gigabytes of data. One SD movie, standard definition movie, is about a gigabyte. So 2.5 million movies of information you can store in your brain. And then this is where it starts getting cool. Your brain has cognitive control to be able to select, prioritize the important information and filter it into your conscious mind. That's heavy stuff. That's still where our brains are better than machines. Our ability to process and identify things that, maybe some of the information's left out and filling in the blanks. That's where we're still really good. So here's some of the answers that I got. And then it made me think, wow, okay, that's the brain. I wonder what else I can ask. So I went and asked about vision. I went and asked about heating. We've got this power plant inside us. How good are we at regulating heat? When you think about it, for 100 years, you have a machine that has an ability to maintain a pretty precise temperature. We can dissipate about 600 to 700 watts of heat. We can create 100 watts of heat, and that can spike up to 300 to 400 when we really need it. And then some of us have a little bit more energy stored than others. I won't point any of you out. Ozempic's kind of changed the dynamic a little bit, but there's still a few of us that have some extra energy. Think about that battery capacity, right? That's pretty cool too. It's pretty efficient. All of us have about a month of battery capacity. We're walking around with it every day. And how we create that energy, extremely efficient. We don't have to be plugged into a certain voltage. We just create energy. Pretty cool. So next, I started asking about vision. And our fovea, it's the sharpest part of our vision, has 576 megapixels. We got optical zoom. We artificially fill in or manipulate through basically machine learning like function to fill in details for the field of vision, right? Once we've done it once, we generally know what that's gonna be like. Our brain gets trained so quickly. Motion detection, instant focus adjustment. We can adjust for light levels, 0.0001 to 100,000 plus lux. Now, you know about machines and cameras. We know that they're better at some extremes, but we can process information in 13 milliseconds and respond. Our body can then respond in 0.1 seconds. All right, that's kind of pretty cool. Then I started thinking about other things, and I digress, but I was like, what kind of lab would we need to reproduce the ability to identify as many chemicals, minerals, antigens, antibodies, bacteria that our body can not only process, but respond to? And again, this is ChatGPT, so bear with me, but The answer came back with the nuclear spectrometers and all the other massive equipment that you would need. It said it would cost hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to create the laboratory that's right there walking around in your body. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So then I was like, all right, well, all that's pretty cool, but how much energy is required to manage all that? And this blew me away. If you look at the brain, so the brain processes 1 exaflop per second, which is 10 to the 18th. 18 zeros operations per second. There's machines that do that, like a Frontier supercomputer. Achieves the same operations. It needs 21 megawatts. 21 megawatts. Our brain, 20 watts. Not even a 60-watt bulb, just 20 watts. Supercomputer, 1 million times the amount of power. And then you add in vision, you add in movement. That movement right there is the Boston Dynamics robot that does similar things to us. And that's just the movement component, not the lifting, just the movement. 50 times more power. Heat regulation, that's all passive. How amazing is that? And then you think about the millions of sensors that we have all over our body, right? It really is an amazing creation. I believe that's from God. You believe your own thing, but it's an amazing creation. And so you look at the total, it's about 400,000 times the amount of power if you were to recreate that. So then, I started figuring out, okay, that's the human body. What about the machines? What are the machines good at? Well, ironically, when I asked the question, I felt like it was self-serving because it's all about big data, right? So data sorting. Machines love sorting. They love processing petabytes of information. It would take us years and years to process the same amount of information machines can process in seconds, billions per second. Pattern recognition. We're really good at it, but subtle recognition, machines are much better. Repetitive, consistent tasks, right? I don't like to do the same thing twice. Machines will do it endlessly, and they're pretty perfect at it. Complex simulations, like climate modeling, molecular dynamics, genomic sequencing, data storage with near instant access. So that's machines. They're good at large-scale data processing, high-speed calculations, complex simulations, pattern recognition, like I said. But humans, what are we better at? And this is where, you start thinking about, all right, are we going to exist? And it is kind of a weird thought and process to go down. But, as we get this AI, we do have to figure out how to manage it, harness it. And it is kind of scary. And I remember, you hear Elon Musk, you hear Sam Altman talk about how scary it is and how we need to make sure that, they're for good and they have the right off switches and there's ethics to how they're coded and created. And that's true, we should. But there's way too many nations with way too many laws that we're not gonna be able to control that, right? That's gonna get out of hand. But it's funny, to think about the doom and gloom component of it. These guys actually really do think about that stuff. I'll never forget, I was at Sun Valley, and I was in this, it was a surreal experience. One surreal experience was I was a backup dancer for Mark Zuckerberg with Bill Gates. Bill Gates and I were doing Backstreet Boys backup dancing while he sang karaoke. That was weird. But then that same time, that night, there was a cocktail reception, and I'm sitting in a circle, I'm standing in a circle with the two founders of Google, with Reid Hoffman, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. And I don't know why I was in the circle, but I wasn't getting out because they started passionately arguing about where we should create the next human civilization. And the three choices were the moon, Mars, and an asteroid. And I remember looking at these guys like, you guys are serious right now. That's really cool. But these are the same folks that are thinking, hey, this AI stuff could get out of hand. We need to make sure that we're on top of this. But machines, I talked about what they're better at. Humans, creativity, judgment, innovation, thinking outside the box. Now, eventually we might have an agent that's just responsible for thinking outside the box. But right now, they're not good at that at all. We're really good at that. We can break patterns. We can apply ideas and technology in new creative ways. You think about the body again as a machine, the complex sensory processing of sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, and how they're integrated so seamlessly. Right? All really cool things that humans are good at. And the thing that really where we need to get, humans have advantages, machines have advantages. The best systems combine human strengths with machine strengths, creating human-computer collaboration that leverages the best of both worlds. So, AI revolution is here. I've been a technology CEO for 30 years. I've definitely never seen anything like this. I was there making websites before there was a domain name ever on a commercial. I remember the first time we saw it. Toyota.com was on a commercial. We're like, whoa, it's coming. This is way different. I can't think of anything that's been more transformative and disruptive than AI. And the cool thing about this, Domo was built for this moment. We didn't know we were building towards this moment, but Domo was built for this moment. My first company, a company called Omniture, was web analytics at first, turned into an online marketing suite, sold it to Adobe after we had it public for a while. And, it was really cool because we were able to see combining the data wasn't hard. It was just one pipe, right? Domo, you guys all know, so many different pipes, different formats. You have no idea what kind of data is coming in, right? But Omniture, one pipe. And so we got to really focus on what to do with the data once you have it available in real time. And that's what was fun. The power is not having your data on your phone. That's cool. That's turning the lights on. What's the use case, the case study, the ROI for having the lights turned on? You don't have to answer it. The lights are on, right? But what's really cool is what you do with that data once you have it. And a lot of you in here are just getting that data, and it's amazing. And you're getting huge kudos internally because you have the data available to people in the organization. But what are you doing with it? And that's why this moment is so cool. Because these agents, these AI agents, it's where the value is. It's where the use cases, the case study you see, you're gonna blow your mind. I was talking to somebody last night at the reception, and they just kind of casually said, oh yeah, we got rid of 500,000 internal emails by leveraging the Domo platform and the AI and the Domo platform. 500,000 internal emails, what? That's emails that their humans, their employees had to read, gone. So the use cases are gonna come hot and fast. You're gonna have, these are some of the agents that are available on the Domo platform, right? You can automate routine tasks. You can enhance collaboration to boost employee productivity. We're gonna hear about some of those use cases. Take personalized interactions, provide instant support, right? We've all seen that. We're doing that internally at Domo, it's insane. Automate processes, gather research and insight. And then you're gonna see, we're gonna have actually a bunch of customers come up here, and then we're gonna show you demos of 4 partners that built AI agents in the last 2 weeks. We did that on purpose. We asked them, with 2 weeks, let's see what you can create. Because I want everyone in here to go home thinking about, yeah, it's cool that the data's there. I did that, the data's there. But now we're gonna go make agents. We're gonna make this place so efficient. We're gonna grow so fast. And by the way, if you don't, your competitors are gonna do it. That's the crazy thing, right? I'm terrified in my own business. Like, we gotta cannibalize everything we possibly can. We have to be as efficient as we can. You don't wanna be a year behind on this one. A year behind on this one is gonna be decades of work. So you need to train the company, you need to train yourself for your career. And here's some agents that we already are using and that our customers are using. So, customer support agents, sales assistant agents, customer health agents that recommend, hey, go pay attention to this one. Resume screening agents, intelligent blog creation agents that take information, automatically go and create a web page, a webinar, publish it, and then you go sit there and you hit approve, and it launches it. So, like I said, Domo was built for this moment. We're excited to be partnering with all of you and working on some really, really cool, interesting things. If you want to build an AI agent, here's the components that you need. And by the way, we happen to have all these components. We've always been trying to help our customers make money off of their data. So we've built the components. And if you want to create an AI agent, it's not like you just go over here and you write new code that no one's ever thought about to create an AI agent. You have to create these components. And we've had these components, some of them for over a decade. You need an ingestion layer. You need ETL. You need the ability to get your data AI ready, right? AI readiness. AI is only as good as the data that it's looking at and how informed it is about that data. You need an AI service layer. So you can go and interact with different LLMs. Once you have that data and that output, you need a workflow engine. You're gonna hear a lot about workflows. Well, workflow engines, that's the underpinnings of an agent, of AI agents. That's workflows, human-in-the-loop workflows. You need to have task management that allows that human-in-the-loop to come in and approve things. And then you need to have some kind of delivery vehicle, whether it's conversational experience, like we have in Domo right now, Domo GPT, or a dashboarding application. And then, one of the most important components is obviously the security and governance, the PDP controls. That's what's so cool. All of you in here have data in your organization that is governed, it's controlled. You can allow an AI agent to go in and let the person responsible for one product or one region to go and look at the data about that product, that region, apply AI to it, and experiment with it and see what kind of return they can get. You don't have to worry about the data going everywhere. That's one of the scariest pieces about AI, and you've already done that work. So, Domo truly is built for right now to take advantage of all the opportunities that we all are finding with AI. And so we're very excited to announce Agent Catalyst. It's the ultimate AI toolkit. So you're gonna see, we're gonna have US Bank, Weather Trends, and Concentrix up here in a minute, and then we're gonna highlight these 4 AI agents from our partners. But these agents are being built in real time, and they work today. They're being used today. So I want you all to go to agentcatalyst.ai because you're gonna learn a lot in this conference about building agents. But the other thing, a very important offer, we are going to fund your first agent. So every customer in here, your first agent that you wanna build, us and our network of partners will help you fund, we will fund your first agent. Thank you. It's gonna be really exciting, you guys. Like, it's gonna be mind-blowing because we see customers and some of the ones that are leaning in the most, and they go and we help them build one, and then we talk to them 2 weeks later and they've built 7 more. So this is going to change your career. This is going to change your company. And there's nowhere else in your organizations where they have control of the data so they can actually apply AI in a safe way. You can build these agents today.